Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Expectations with me, Craig. It feels like forever since I've seen you guys and done a show, but it was only just last week. We didn't have any game weeks or games in the middle of the week to cover, so we're back a week later to cover the biggest game week, double game week in FPL history. That's right. It's a game week where I feel that it could be... it could be so important that it could take you from down here to right up there and competing in your mini leagues and possibly winning game week prizes. But I'm never here to give you the advice because I'm not that good of a manager. I've got the experts here with me. I've got Siva making his debut from FPL Banger. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've pumped. Biggest double game week ever. Good time to be on the show.
It is. It's great. And it's something that we've been talking about for a while. We've never actually managed to get you on because you're a very busy man and everyone wants a bit of you. But we're so lucky to have you on FPL Expectations. I hope it's the first of many. But yeah, such a crucial game week. And also on the show with us is the usual FPL Mariner. Mariner, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right. I've brought the shirt out for celebration for double game week. We've got octopuses and all sorts of shit on here. Just like Siva's shirt, really. I think it's the West Ham one.
Well, I was just going to say it's a double game week, and I can see two Grimsby jerseys in the background as opposed to the usual one. So yeah, good sign there. I mean, we're never going to have any Grimsby assets in the Premier League anyway.
No, we're lucky if we have any in the Football League. We won't go.
Boys, it's a pleasure to have you. A lot to discuss today. I'm sure the FPL community who will be tuning in have a lot of questions, which we will answer later on in the show. But it's been manic. I know from all the group chats, all the chats that we've had together, guys. A lot of opinions been thrown about, a lot of suggestions as to how many hits we take, which double game week assets we should be having in our squads. But first, we're going to rewind it a little bit and we're going to look at game week 25 and how you boys got on in it. It was one of those where, yes, some teams really hit it off and really attacked those Leeds and Southampton fixtures. But there were some guys that actually struggled and kind of got their selections wrong. But we're going to look more into it. Mariner, we're going to start with your team and how you did in game week 25.
Well, yeah, for once, not so bad, considering what's been going on in the last few weeks. 91 points, back up to 11K from 19K, so a good green arrow. Game week rank of 129K, so that's in the top 2%. So if you keep doing that, then you're fine, basically. In fact, actually, all you really need to do is aim for about the top 25%. If you average in the top 25% every single game week of the year, you'll be fine. What went well? Well, for once, I got my keepers in the right order just recently. Areola instead of Martinez. There was no bigger celebration anywhere than when Martinez conceded this week. It was a big relief. Stones, I only played one of the City three. I benched the other two, and I dodged a real bullet because Cancelo missed that chance when he could have squared it to Gundogan, and there would have been my red arrow. That's actually how close this game can be sometimes. Tiny margins can be the difference between a rank of, let's say, 11K and a rank of 30K. Because it could easily have you're talking about a 10K swing either way, just by that one thing. And of course, we waited a long time for Leeds to turn up, or should we say, for Leeds to support Rafinha, because quite frankly, Rafinha single-handedly created so many chances. I think an XG of about 1.9, or an XA of about 1.98, a high XG as well. And players like Cooper contrived to miss everything. And, to be honest, it took a long time for Rafinha to get his points. So I think anyone who captained Rafinha, well done over Bamford for a start, but how unlucky. You could have nearly been in Gundogan territory, I think. What was disappointing, Danny Ings. Really disappointed with Danny Ings. I thought, given the way he put that chance away in game week 24, I thought we were on for something, and clearly we weren't. And just to finish, and just a shout out for my partner in crime on Net That Hall, Harvey Barnes pretty much gave me my green arrow.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think 11 points equivalent from we've given his EO. I gained 11 points on one player. That shows that if you nail your differentials, you're in a good place.
Great stuff. Siva, we're going to come to your team now and see how you got on. You did send me a screenshot just before we came on when we were talking, and did I see 97 points for you in game week 25?
Yep, 96 points. 97, but after hit, so it comes down to 93. I got lucky this week. I didn't have the wild card because I've saved that after the Premier League decided to release fixtures 2 minutes after the deadline.
I think it was even sooner than that. It was something like 30 seconds or a minute. It was ridiculous.
Couldn't believe it. But so despite that, so I went in with the team I already had, which surprisingly quite good. I started Pope, like Chris did, I benched Martinez. So big win there. Stones, Cancelo, Dallas is amazing. Probably the best budget defender we'll ever have in this game, 17
Well, we
points.
had Lundstrom last year, don't forget.
Lundstrom, but Dallas is on it. A different level, it's amazing. He went up to midfield for about 5 minutes and then he scored.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Barnes, I've had Barnes since game week 21, and that's probably the best differential purchase I've ever made. He's just been on fire. Rafinha, who I brought in for Salah. I may have mentioned this a few times on our show, and he's been just great value. Bamford cap. I regret not going Rafinha captain, but sometimes you play safe, and it's worked out. 97's as good as I can ask for, and I've benched all the right.
Close decision, sorry, Siva. Was it close between Rafinha and Bamford for you?
No, not really. I'll always go for the the striker. It just feels safer. But maybe that's something mindset change. Maybe we need to sort of look at the midfielders, and that's something maybe we'll talk about this week. Ceilings for the midfielders always being higher than the striker. Something to think about.
Definitely. And then I see you obviously brought Danny Ings in, who didn't quite do it for any of us.
Yeah. Danny Ings, I regret because Chris and I have talked about this even outside of the show. And Danny Ings is someone I was not really convinced by, but it's just one of those, I guess you call it fear of missing out picks, right? Everybody's going in. He's got a double. You take a chance. To be fair, I would have brought Ings and Dallas purely as FOMO picks just to cover them. So one worked out, one didn't. You can't complain about that. I think.
Yeah.
I would say, the thing with Danny Ings as well, and Southampton in general, is the fact that they do have a few double game weeks as well, which we were anticipating anyway.
Well,
True.
You say that, Craig, but the problem is I probably wouldn't have brought Ings in on my wild card had he not, now I know he doesn't have a double game week in 26. I probably wouldn't have bothered. So I would have bought DCL in straight away, probably.
Same. Yeah, same.
And done that. And of course, that's where FPL Towers have completely shafted us, quite frankly. So yeah, I wasn't happy, Bunny, with respect to the fixtures being released 30 seconds afterwards. I've got to be honest with you. I thought it was a bit under the belt. But anyway, that's all the same.
He does have a double next week, doesn't he?
Yeah, but it's Manchester City. That's no double.
Sheffield United first up. I mean,
Man City is a single game week. I mean, Man City, quite frankly, they're conceding one big chance every 4 games.
Yeah.
It's like, he might score. You never know. He might score. It might be the week that you can just see it coming, can't you? But my personal view is I'm not even going anywhere near Southampton now. I think they're a busted flush.
Okay, great stuff. That was the game week 25 review. Fantastic scores all around from the boys, and some differential picks that kind of worked out. We're going to look forward to game week 26, and now, as I mentioned earlier on, it's the biggest double game week in FPL history. I mean, it's so good that you just can't ignore it. And that's why we started the show a little bit earlier than usual, to give us ample time to cover every single base that we need to. We're going to kick it off by talking about the best double game week 26 assets. Now, I put a poll out earlier in the week, I think it was about 2-3 days ago, which was, which strikers we should be looking at to bring in. I mean, I put 3 options up. There was Harry Kane, DCL, and Jamie Vardy. Now, Vardy, Leicester, didn't really work out for them in midweek. They had a tough fixture, lost. Harry Kane had a Europa League fixture, got rested. So he had a night off, essentially, and Calvert-Lewin is just coming back from injury. So we don't really know how his match sharpness is, how fit he actually is. But boys, I'm going to throw it to you, okay? I need 3 of your best double game week 26 assets, and you don't necessarily have to own it, but who should the FPL community be looking at for double game week 26?
Bloody hell.
Boys?
Right.
I know there are a lot of options, and we have spoken about it.
You know what? Interestingly enough, you say this is the biggest game week in history. You know, it is. But I think it's one of the most underwhelming double game weeks as well. Teams have one good fixture, quite often one good fixture. So for me, the team that stands out to me with 2 good fixtures is Everton. That's my perspective. And even then, they're still not absolutely fantastic when you look at fixture difficulty. But the thing with Everton is Everton are very much a team. If all the players are there and are on the pitch, then Everton are completely different to they are when they are missing players. So my perspective is players like Luca Dean, possibly, particularly given that they may have a double game week in 28. But I think the tip of the spear in DCL, I think he will play most of this game week. So I think DCL is for me is pretty important. I think he's one of the most important players, I think, for this game week. So I would put him probably at the top of my list. I think if you're talking about other players, if you're trying to climb the ranks, I think Harvey Barnes is an extremely good option. I own Harvey Barnes already. Obviously, he did very well for me last week. There's just that slight doubt about whether things will drop off a little bit now Maddison's missing.
Correct. Yeah.
But I do like Harvey Barnes. And yeah, I mean, as for the rest, well, I mean, Man City I would avoid. I can't work Manchester City out at all.
I'm just gonna while you're on the subject of Man City, I think for Man City owners, or asset owners rather, you know, it's one of those where it's possibly the worst thing ever to own Man City assets, because even without a double game week, we know how much possible rotation Pep, could rotate the team. And then it comes to a double game week, and then you're thinking, oh God, who's going to play this? Who's going to get closest to 180 minutes? I think Edison's obviously nailed on for 180 minutes.
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah, but when you're looking at your other high-scoring FPL assets in, your De Bruyne's, your Gundogan's, your Sterling's, Cancelo's, you just can't call it. It's a gamble trying to pick who's going to score the most amount of points. Most amount of minutes rather than points at that stage.
No, very true. And when we come to the captain metric, you'll see what I've done, because I've actually moved their minutes down. I've actually adjusted them all down this week because I cannot work out who's going to play. Cancelo would have been a great captain shout this week, but I couldn't risk it now. I actually think you can oppose all Manchester City assets from the point of view of captaincy this week. That's the first thing I would say. And I think it actually rubber stamps the fact that people played triple captains in 24 on City players, because the rotation risk was not there then, and it is now. And I think that's the key thing. So, City certainly are a very, very dangerous team to predict. I'm not saying you're going to take players out, probably not. They could still score as many points in one game week as others can in two. I think if there was one other player I might quite fancy, if you could get him into your team, would be KDB.
Okay.
That's the one player I think might well play more because he did rest, didn't he?
Are you not worried about match fitness? I mean, we saw him last week in action.
He's fit. He said he was fit, but he match fit. He said, didn't he? He said he was ready for Mönchengladbach. That's what he said, and he said he will be ready for the weekend. Of course, he could rotate, but I just think
But I'm not talking about natural fitness. I'm talking about sharpness. I mean, I watched him last week, and I mean, it's hard not to look good in a City team, to be honest with you. But if we're looking for someone where we're going to spend, 11 million or close to 11 million on him or whatever his current price is, I mean, is he someone that we're really going to move heaven and earth to get into our team?
You'd be ahead of the game, though, wouldn't you? If you went, for example, KDB and Gundogan now with one defender and went for it, if you're trying to chase rank, the KDB Gundo double could be very, very tasty indeed. That's I don't know what Siva thinks, but I just think there is a possibility. KDB doesn't become a bad player overnight. He's
definitely not saying
that. And we're probably all flush with cash. I mean, I've never had so much money in FPL. Yeah. Siva's even making T-shirts out about pricing. T-shirts done, points over price. It says it all. I mean, I looked at my projected team on live FPL on game week 29, and I've got 14 million in the bank.
Right, Stephen, I'm going to bring you in here. Wait, Mariner, just to confirm, you've got DCL, you've got KDB, and you've got, who's your third?
Barnes.
Barnes. Okay, so DCL, Barnes, and KDB are your picks. Steve, I'm going to come to you. Game week 26, double game week assets. I'm not sure if your top three will be different to Mariners, but I want to hear what you're thinking and who you think the rest of the FPL community should be considering for their team.
Well, someone who I hadn't really considered until yesterday when I looked at Southampton's injury list, right? They're missing Romeu, they're missing Walker-Peters, Minamino's out, Walcott is out. They're playing Bednarek at right back. He's a centre back by trade. They're playing Salisu at centre back. He's hardly had any minutes. So I'm thinking Luca Dean. So
I thought you were going to say Richarlison. Thank God.
I haven't finished.
If you don't know, Siva is the biggest troll for Mariner.
Yes, Mariner's told me this before. I've got 3 picks though, so we'll see where this takes me. But I think Luca Dean's an easy pick this week because we've all got cash, like Mariner said, 6.1. And if you look at the last double game week in 19, I think it is 3 of the top 5 scorers were defenders: Stones, Diaz, and Targett. Now, Targett's not exactly the most attacking guy, but he got 1 assist and a clean sheet, and he played the City game. So I think defenders have a really high ceiling in a double game week. You'd expect Everton have only had 5 cleans this season, but if they're ever going to keep a clean sheet, it's against Southampton and West Brom. So I think I really like Luca Dean this week.
And obviously the attacking potential that he has.
Yes. I mean, he's got 8 assists this season. He's missed half of it. So you can't ask for more than that. And 6.1 is the kind of differential where most people just won't go there.
Is it? I'm going to ask this up straight up because, I mean, Luca Dean has been on my watch list as well. And speaking to Mariner just before you came on off air, the fact that Everton don't have a game week in 29 or game in 29, is that a factor that, we have to consider, or is it a little bit too early for that and he's transferable out?
I think you should have at least maybe 4 to 5 players in your current team who play in 29, because you'll still have 3 transfers between now and then after 26 is done.
Yeah.
I don't want to overemphasize focusing on 29 because think about it. The guys you're looking at for 29, probably Leeds and maybe 1 or 2 West Ham guys. You're not getting Targett in, for instance, in 29. He plays against Spurs. I don't see a clean sheet there. You could get a Fulham defender. They play Leeds. Don't see a clean sheet. Spurs defender, probably going to get rotated. So I think let's attack this double. Let's not get too carried away with a blank, which is quite likely have a very low point ceiling. That's my feeling.
Okay, perfect. Who are your other two?
Well, I wavered on this a bit after watching the midweek games, but I'm sticking to Ricardo Pereira. I think he's under the radar. I think it's 1% effective ownership because he hasn't hauled yet. So it's someone you go in only if you watch the matches will you think he's a good pick. He's playing right wing or even central attacking mid. He played central attacking mid in midweek.
Yeah.
Leicester don't have Maddison, which is bad, but it means that they rely more on what little creative players they have left. So Ricardo, good differential. Again, expensive, so hard for others to get to. And Arsenal are quite capable of conceding and struggle for goals, so I think there's a clean sheet there. And if we think Burnley is a good fixture for Spurs, then it's definitely a good fixture for Leicester. So I like Ricardo.
I didn't actually watch the Leicester match because I was watching United, and what I read from Brendan Rodgers was the fact that I think he tried to play Tielemans in that Maddison position, and it just didn't work at all. They had no transition from the back into the attacking thirds, and he says, it's an issue because now he knows obviously it doesn't work for them with Tielemans that high up the pitch. Do you see Ricardo moving into a more central, or do you think you stay out on the right wing, or do you think it's someone like Barnes that comes in and plays just behind Vardy?
So that's the uncertainty about Ricardo, and that's what makes him risky. We don't know what Rodgers will do this week. But what he did when he made the subs, because Ricardo came on around 60 minutes, was Tielemans moved back and Ricardo moved forward. He was almost playing as a number 10. So, and he was taking shots. In fact, he had a disallowed goal. So, which, it went under the radar because it was quite easily disallowed, Vardy handball. But that's the point. He's central. He's high up the pitch. And if you think about it, if he can nick one clean sheet and one attacking return, 20 points, perhaps?
Massive return. Return. Okay, so you got, obviously, who's your Luca Digne, your first pick. Ricardo Pereira, your second one. Who's the third one on your list?
The third one I'm going for this is really out there, very differential, probably not going to work, but I'm going to say Ola Aina from Fulham.
Okay, I didn't see that one coming.
I did.
And there's some logic behind this, right? So Aina plays typically at right back for Fulham. He's been shifting around, but he's usually a right back by trade. He played right back against Sheffield United. Now, Fulham's defensive numbers are really good. Since they brought in Anderson and Adebayo.
Yeah, you got it. You got that one. You did better than Mariner.
So since they brought those guys in, they've actually kept, I think, the third least number of goals conceded in the league. I think this is around game week 8 onwards. So their defense has improved. They've got something to fight for. They're 3 points behind Newcastle. They'll probably catch them this week. They play Palace. Now, Palace conceded to Loughton 2 weeks ago on the right, conceded to Veltman on the right, and Aina plays on the right. And he gets forward. He's got a goal against Everton and an assist against Everton, goal v Burnley in the last 2 weeks. So if you're looking for somebody who no one's going to think about, and he plays in 29, Ola Aina.
Great stuff.
He's a good shot. But I'll tell you what, Craig, this is what sums up what I said at the start. We've just gone through, and I think, no disrespect, Siva, I think we've struggled to find 6.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we're talking about Ola Aina, aren't we?
You look down the rest and you think, nah, I'm not interested in Villa. Not interested in Villa defence because Mohamed is playing on the right back instead of Cash. Yeah. I'm not interested. I'm just. There's not a great deal of interest there. The fixtures are all a bit meh.
Yeah. I think I'll go with what you said, Mariner. There's not, even if you look at the top, as you look at your cities, you look at your Liverpools and all that. No easy fixtures that you really want to say, okay, look, I'll even triple captain this time, right? I think was Everton. But are Everton a team that you can trust? There's another thing, if you're taking hits to bring in Everton assets, we've seen it before, guys. You call him Richarlison. You call Richarlison a troll for a reason because you just don't know what's going to happen with Everton and Carlo Ancelotti. So it's one of those where there's no straightforward ones. It's not like previous double game weeks where everyone kind of jumps on the Kane bandwagon and says, "Right, we're captaining him." I think a lot of a lot of managers are looking at Kane and seeing him as more of a security. Well, we might get a return if we fancy Kane for a goal, and if he gets a return, that's great. But is he triple captain worthy? I don't know. Remains to be seen.
Well, a lot of big accounts have triple captained him this week, including James from Planet FPL, who is a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
FPL General, I think, is triple captain Kane as well. Personally, I am right on the. It's going to go to 2 minutes to 7 for my captaincy decision. It's already.
Well,
flipped twice today. I've already changed it twice today.
Well, this brings us nicely to our next topic, which will include the discussion of chips, which kind of started on it already. But boys, in this segment, I really want to see your team reveals. Obviously, it's not confirmed, as Mariner just mentioned, until a couple of minutes before the deadline. But we just want to see if you've made any transfers, what you're thinking so far, if you've taken any hits, and especially what we really want to know is, what chips are you playing? Are you going with your bench boost? Are you going with your triple captain? Obviously, Mariner, we just know what you just said. But Siva, we're going to come into your team first and just see what you're thinking and in terms of chips and transfers.
Yeah, so I'll be playing bench boost with little option because I've already played triple captain on KDB in 19 and got 24 points. And I've used free hit in 18, so I'm down to this is my last chip, except for wildcard, which now I'm going to save probably for 31 when the fixture swings happen. Yeah. So the bench boost now has triple leads, Rafinha, Dallas, and Bamford. I may take one of them out. I've already taken a -8 on this team, so it looks very nice. But this,
who have you taken out and who have you brought in?
I took out Danny Ings for Calvert-Lewin.
Okay.
I took out Kufal for Dean, and I've taken out, let's see, I brought in Kane. So Kane came in for Cavani. Cavani was a bad game week 24 punt, went wrong, and since he's not fit, he had to go. I may take another -4. I may take up to a -12 and get Ben Mee out for Ricardo Pereira. That's the only move I'm looking at now.
Wow. And while we're on this discussion of hits and I mean, what should we be looking at? I mean, what's the ceiling for it? I mean, you're obviously contemplating a -12. We'd love to have Joe was supposed to join us. He's known as our hitman on our show because he just takes hits for fun, and that's not even on double game weeks. It's just normal weeks. What is the maximum we should be looking at in terms of hits? Because for me personally, 12 is a lot. But if these guys return and pay it, like you said, they've got 2 games to kind of repay the hit. It might not work out so bad.
Yeah, so I think the first 3 hits I've taken so far are all single game weekers going out for double game weekers. And for me, it's simple math, right? They got 2 games. They'll get at least 2 extra appearance points, hopefully. And that means it's a -2. So you're cutting it in half. Now, switching double game weekers for other double game weekers is where it gets tricky. Yeah. Because your effective, that is a pure -4. The way I look at it, though, is you got to look at what do you think that player is going to score from this week. I look at someone like Ben Mee. I think best case scenario, he maybe gets 1 clean sheet. That's about it. Whereas if you look at somebody like Pereira or Dean, you think there's attacking potential, maybe a 15, 20-pointer. And if we go back to game week 19, I feel this very personally because I had Robertson and I kept him in. I could have gone to Stones. I thought about it. Stones had a better fixture, but then no, I don't want to take a -4 for a defender. Burnt. I mean, that's going to haunt me until the end of my days. So I think if you've got one chance, you take it.
Yeah, same issue. I could have took TAA out for Stones, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And you knew it was a fixture, but you just didn't do it.
In hindsight, I mean, no one saw that Stones kind of return coming. Let's be honest. I mean, it wouldn't have been on anything, any research that you would have done.
But the principle is right. What Siva is saying, it is when you're looking at a double game week. My rule is I've no problem with taking a hit, provided that I don't need perhaps to bring them back into, for example, in 29 if I want to. Now I've already said to you off air that I'm almost prepared to write 29 off. I think it's a bit of I think it's just junk. I think it'll be I certainly wouldn't free it if I had my free hit chip left. I'd just try and manage through it and go for 33. But so that's my perspective. I just look at it and I think, well, if you're going to take a hit, fine, from a single game weaker to a double game weaker, absolutely no problem. So I think if you take a -4, you'll probably have a green arrow the moment the game refreshes.
All right.
I think realistically, it'd be very interesting to guess what this is going to be. I think the average point hit might be about 5 or 6 points this week.
Okay. Marion, we're going to come to your team and see what you've been doing with them. We know it's not confirmed, it's not set in stone, but would like to get into that mind of yours and see what you're thinking. I mean, because we talk about hits, I know for a fact that you're definitely taking hits this week.
Well, I intend to. I've made one move as well so far, and that was just Ings to Calvert-Lewin. So that's done. At the moment, I've got Dallas, Rafinha, and Bamford on my bench as it stands with Areola. I am, as much as I think Dallas is a fantastic asset, but I struggle to see where clean sheets are coming from with Leeds. I still struggle to see where clean sheets are coming from with Leeds. I also look at them from 31 onwards, and I think I'm not quite sure whether I'll be owning many of them by then. So I am tempted to take Dallas out, and that would be an upside move for probably Luca Dean. Okay. It may be Pereira, and then that would give me 13 double game weekers with a -4. I did contemplate Bamford out for Watkins, but there was a rumour that Watkins was injured. I still need to check that out.
Well, I've tried to find some information on that. There's not a lot about it. So it could, usually when you get all this, some, new surfaces and everything, it came out on Twitter. I've not managed to see anything in regards to that. I read a Villa fan blog or whatever you want to call it. And, there was no mention of Watkins not being fit. But I think, I guess this day and age, you just never know, right?
Well, no, but Dean Smith doesn't like us fantasy boys anyway, does he? So, who knows what's going to happen there. So I could leave back. I mean, Bamford, Rafinha, Dean, and Areola on the bench. Yeah, that'd be perfect, wouldn't it? Something like that. Adebayor, him on the bench or whatever. Yeah, I have 2 Fulham, 2 Leeds on the bench for a bench boost. That wouldn't worry me too much. Could I take an extra one? Yes, but who for? That's the question, right? Take Bamford out. Who for? Who really is there? Take Rafinha out. Who for? I've got Barnes. That would be the obvious move. Where else am I going to go? Lookman for Rafinha? No. I don't know. I may just go with a mine. I may stick with -4. That it's possible I may just stick with -4.
Because the other thing that we got to consider, I mean, it's even though Siva said it that focus on game week 26, but for you who already own someone like Bamford and Dallas and Rafinha with Leeds playing in game week 29, you don't exactly what you said earlier on. You don't want to take them out now and in 2 weeks' time bring Bamford back in. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of value in that alone.
I'm not worried about value though. I'm fortunate in that I've got 107 million in the bank, so 107 million value. So quite frank, I can pretty much do what I want with the team at this moment in time. I'm in a very, very good position. So people have been saying to me, "Oh, watch the players drop in, praise the God." I'm saying, I don't care about that anymore. I've played my wild card now. I'm just on the home run now. Quite frankly, I just work with what I've got. I just think, to be honest with you. Do you know the one move? If Gabe is watching this, I've not seen it pop up yet. If Gabe is watching this, we did let this loose last night, and I've already been laid on my computer desk once in this show when there was a rumor of him being mentioned. Dallas to Bamford to Richarlison.
Yeah, and that was something I wanted to bring up with you because.
Probably the only upside move I can see. for that second hit.
But that means you'd have an Everton double up front.
Yeah, maybe even a treble up if I brought Dean in, because Dean could well be coming in as well. Because Everton treble up, and they could have a double. If I just wish we knew about this double game week. If that double game week dropped in 28, that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah,
it would be a no-brainer. So do I have the balls to take Bamford out and go for the troll? I mean, people are going to have a right laugh if I do. So at the end of the day, all I have to do is hit him back out again anyway. Quite frankly, so he's going to probably get raged out after about 2 weeks. But you never know; he could do something. Who knows?
Okay, so that's what you're thinking. You're going to make a decision in terms of your chips. A lot closer to the deadline. Are you going to do a little reveal on Twitter, or?
I will play. I'm going to play bench boost because it's like the sword of Damocles hanging over me. It's just got to go. I can't stand it. I hate the chip. The moment I get rid of that chip, I'm going to get to 29 and I'm going to take all the value out of the bench apart from one, and I'm going to just launch it all onto the best players that I can for the running. I've just got to get rid of it. I hate it. I'm like Siva. Once it's gone, that's all my chips gone. Then it's just a case of playing the running.
Well, whilst we're the subject of chips, boys, do you guys remember the all-out attack chip that we used to have?
The worst chip ever.
I never played it. I played the game then.
Oh, you're so lucky, Mariner. It was a stupid
You didn't
chip.
like that chip?
No, because so it allowed you to play 2-5-3, right? So and it was awful because you would never find the right week to play it. You could have to set up for it with an extra attacker.
I could have done with it this week. I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather have that than the bench boost.
I would prefer a reverse a shit transfer chip.
No, then we need that each week, mate.
Have you boys? I know we're digressing a little bit, but have you boys ever played those McDonald's World Cup Fantasy?
What was that?
The McDonald's World Cup Fantasy Football. Have you ever played that?
Yeah, I've had a few McDonald's in my time, but I've never played that.
So every World Cup or Euros, McDonald's, who are one of the sponsors, they have they come up with a fantasy football, and in that you have the ability, because games kick off. You have like 3 different games in a day, right? And what you can do for that stage, for that game week stage, you can actually transfer out from your bench. So if say for example, Man City are kicking off. Man City are kicking off first today, right? You can play Stones and Cancelo, and if Stones gets sent off and scores an own goal and he gets shit points, you can actually transfer him out from one of your bench defenders and bring him in to try again. And it's a gamble, because if he gets worse than Stones, and then the gamble backfires. But if he scores more, which he's more likely to do, then it works for you. So it's interesting, but they'll never do that with FPL. Just digressing a little bit, guys, there. But we're going to go come back straight to it, and it's that time where, Mariner, we kind of need you to kind of step up here and tell us what your metric is saying for the captaincy. And there's a lot of options this week. We've mentioned DCL, we've mentioned Kane. I think there are a few people out there that are looking at Son. Salah's been mentioned, in fact, as well. Mariner, what is the metric saying? And, of course, what is Oliver saying?
Well, the metric's saying Bruno. Unsurprisingly, I said a couple of weeks ago that the moment Bruno got a decent fixture, he would be back up to the top. And probably rightly so. I think he is a standout captaincy out most weeks now. I'm so used to listening to Sam on the Banger podcast. I don't even need to wait for the captaincy to find out that Sam's going to captain Bruno anyway. But I think Bruno is a very, very good captain. Probably less likely to rotate than City players. More likely possibly to rotate than Kane, who I think is going to get flogged to death by Mourinho in the next... because obviously there is just that slight doubt in my mind about Bruno as to whether he might be brought off early against Palace. because he did play on Thursday night, didn't he?
Played 45 minutes on Thursday.
And to me, I don't know, or Wednesday night, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why he played. So that worries me a tiny bit. And of course, if you adjusted the fixture difficulty to take out a chunk of the Crystal Palace game, and you also take a bit more rotation out, which is the multiplier in all the factors in this metric, it very quickly brings Bruno back in line with other players. So that's where the metric, we've got to think a little bit as well as the metric. So I think that Bruno is a great option, but he has one good fixture. I genuinely think that the Chelsea and United game could be a 0-0 draw. There's been an awful lot of 0-0 draws with United against teams from the top 6 this year. So that's
I think Tuchel has a bit more emphasis on the defence as well, doesn't he?
It could easily be a 0-0 draw, and that means you're then going into that second game week where you're holding your breath like we all did with Leeds assets last week, and hoping to goodness that Bruno turns up. But look, let's face it, Palace are absolute crap. So he could any
Brighton last week, didn't they?
Any Man U asset could have a field day against Palace. They really could. So I still think he's probably the best captaincy option, but I can oppose him. And I've given you the reason why I can oppose him. I can oppose all the City assets for rotation risks. The rotation risk for Gundogan there is 1.66. I reckon that could easily be 1.33. It could even be 1. He may only play 1 game out of 2. Yeah. So that's how I can oppose Gundogan. Same with Sterling. And then you move down. The player who's flying under the radar for me is Salah.
Yeah.
Salah is flying under the radar, not being talked about much, hasn't popped up in the community poll, but probably will not rotate that much, and has, reasonable fixtures, so we say reasonable fixtures. Although we know what form that Liverpool are in. So you can oppose him as well. And then you get to Kane. And I mean, Son is the bottom. Son is bottom of this metric list.
Yeah.
And in fact, this metric works on 12 game weeks with respect to returns. And I adjusted it to 6 last night just for a bit of fun and just put some different rotations in. Son didn't even appear on it. He just disappeared completely. He's had 1 return in the last 6 games. Kane's had 3 returns in the last 6 games, albeit Kane, there was green shoots, in my view, there was some green shoots of recovery, I thought, certainly with the eye test last week. I think he was unlucky not to score, or unlucky not to get return. So Kane is an absolute gut over form over fixture, because both these fixtures are also tough. They are tough matchups for Spurs. They are not easy matchups at all. And that is why I mean, Gabe's gone as far as saying he's astounded by the community all going for Kane, because there is not much at all to support them. What could support them? Reguilón coming back. What could also support them? Bale. That is might be the joker in the pack. Might be Gareth Bale starting. It's a really tough one, mate. Really tough.
And so you got Fernandes topping that captaincy metric. Is it Gundogan and Sterling who are second and third?
And Sterling, and then you've got the other Man United assets, followed by Salah. Grealish is he shouldn't be there because obviously he's injured. And then Vardy's down. There's probably 7 or 8 options really. Even Calvert-Lewin, there's a lot of players in this sort of like 80 sort of range where you can find arguments for them, but you can also find ways of opposing them. And I think there isn't a single captaincy option this week who you cannot find a reason to oppose. I'd love to know what Siva is thinking.
I was going to come to Siva, and you've seen the metric. I'm sure you saw it yesterday on the Hall, but. Are you going to go against it? Are you, sticking to someone like Kane, or does that change your thinking slightly? And does Bruno Fernandes appeal to you that little bit more?
It's been a tough week. So I started the week on Gundogan because, as far as I've seen, Gundogan has been the prime FPL asset, and I think a much better asset than KDB has been this season. If you look back to game week 13, the top point scorer is Gundogan, then Fernandes, and then there's a big drop off before you get to Harvey Barnes, who's third. The issue with Gundogan, like Mariner says, is rotation. I do think the rotation risk is a bit overhyped with Pep. He seems to rotate the wingers more than the central mids, but still, that risk is there, and that's what's putting me off Gundogan.
Yeah.
Fernandes is the safe pick, and I've sort of toyed with that. And Sam, who I host the podcast with, is nailed. He's going triple Bruno.
Would we expect anything else, right? Would we expect anything else? Come on.
But and it makes perfect sense, right? Bruno against Palace, one fixture alone, you could see 18 points there. Chelsea's just a bonus. Yeah. But again, the fact is the Palace fixture comes 3 days before City. And I'm mindful of the fact that it took Bruno, I think, 70 minutes to get a return against Southampton?
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, currently I have it on Calvert-Lewin.
No, it's all right. Don't worry.
Okay, so you got to have Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to throw this. I mean, obviously Bruno Fernandes top in the metric, and we know what a good FPL asset he is. But how dependent is his returns on penalties? I mean, we take the penalties out of it, and the games where he doesn't score from penalties, I mean, he doesn't exactly have great returns there.
But that's the thing. You can't take penalties out because he gets them so often that it's almost a given. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get one penalty between these two games. That's just, for right or wrong, United get penalties.
That is a shout.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't get pens, where else do the goals come from United? Pogba's out, and I think Gabe showed this on Net the Hole yesterday. Bruno's had 4 returns in the 4 weeks that Pogba's been out. So it's already working. The only thing I see here is the Chelsea fixture is difficult. The issue is Chelsea haven't really faced difficult opposition. They faced Wolves, Southampton, teams who you'd expect them to clean against. So like Mariner says, you can make arguments for and both. I'm on Calvert-Lewin simply because Southampton look like they're falling apart. And if there's going to be another 9-0, I want it. And
it's a brave call. I have to say, one thing which really does interest me about Southampton is the fact Romeo's not playing.
Yeah. And they conceded 2 goals as soon as Romeo went off the pitch against Leeds.
Yeah. This could be a big call. I don't know if anybody, I just want to give a shout out to Hibbo, who was on Net the Hall last night. And he did a thing about expected ownership. And he talked about playing tight or playing loose. And it really depends where you are in your, if you, there is significant upside for Calvert-Lewin this week. But if you're not on one of the big two, and the big two I'm talking about Kane or Bruno, for a start, whichever one you're not on, they're probably going to be over 100% EO, which means your rank's going to fall. If you don't captain one of them, you could be in a mess if Calvert-Lewin if it doesn't work. So it's a gamble. But I do think there would be nothing. I couldn't oppose what you're doing, Siva, because I can see why. I can see why you're thinking it.
Yeah, I was just on the Baby Wales, one of the guys in my mini league, and he's been on the show a couple of times. And he's in that kind of conundrum: do I go Kane? But his other one is Salah. Now, you mentioned him there in your metric piece, Mariner. With Salah, you can never doubt someone of Salah's quality. And when we talk about rotations and everything, he's as nailed on as Fernandes. He's as nailed on as Kane. You can't ignore him. He's in double figures for the season. I think he's got nearly 20 goals already this season. Consistently a very good FPL asset. He's on pens. I mean, there's so much. When you look at Salah, there's so much going for you there. But it's the fact that you don't know which Liverpool team is going to turn up.
No, you don't. But I must say again, I think Sheffield United are also decimated with injuries as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they've got no Egan now, and that's a big loss for them. So that's like tearing the heart out of their defence. So, but Salah just seems to be running into people at the moment. He just doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be right. So you can oppose them purely and simply on that. I tell you who's going to make the difference for for Liverpool. That's going to be Jota. When Jota comes back, provided Jota wakes up and comes in, and we know Jota can be a slow starter. But if Jota starts, that is where I think we'll see something turn. Maybe not until then. I don't know. It's a tough one. But I can see why people would look at Salah. And you know what? It could be a very, very nice move as well.
So just to round it up, guys, if you're chasing a massive upside, you should be looking at differential picks like Calvert-Lewin, Siva's doing, like maybe Mo Salah, like maybe even Bruno Fernandes, as to what the metric says. But, you know, judging it by the FPL community on Twitter, judging some of the shows that I've seen, everyone seems to be going Kane.
Yeah, I've just put the poll up. If you want to share the screen, I did a poll for the show, and look at that. It's crazy. Yeah. 50% Kane. It's shot, and virtually every poll I have seen on Twitter mirrors this.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring mine up a little bit, and it's not exactly the same, but it's which striker are you targeting for double game week 26? And obviously Kane smashes it out of the park with that one as well. So everywhere I look, it's Kane. It's Kane. It's Kane.
And
I can't tell you
about it. I can't understand it. I can't understand how he is so popular. Is it? I mean, we even talked about like a bias about demographic last night. You know, is it the fact that everyone from the UK are going? Because I said, well, clearly everybody from Malaysia is going for Bruno. There's some giggles coming from the community, and certainly from Siva.
Just to confirm, you're going Kane, yeah, Mariner?
At this moment, yeah, I'll be on Kane. No, I intend to be on Kane. I think I'm fairly comfortable to go on Kane. I think I'll tell you why I like it. I think I like the idea of Bale shaking it up a little bit and Reguilon shaking it up a bit. I think you might
maybe off the
look, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But I own Bruno anyway.
Yeah.
And DCL. Okay. So I own them all. In fact, all those four I spoke about, I own them all. So at least I've got that slight shield. But at the same time, I think Kane, 2 games, if he doesn't get a penalty in those games, I would be surprised. You've got the trickery of Bale, who could create something. You've got Reguilon, who is more attacking. Looks like Aurier might. Is there a rumour Aurier might play as well? And there's another attacking player. So you never know. I don't know about defence, but certainly from the attacking side, maybe they're going to be okay this week. Let's hope so.
Before we move on to questions from the community, Mariner, I have to ask you this, as we always do. We need the real expert in this FPL show, Oliver, to make an appearance and tell us who he fancies.
Well, he made troll of the week last week because he picked Danny Ings. So he was one of the trolls. But no, so he had a choice of only the top 2, much to some discussed actually on the show last night. I think people wanted 3, but anyway, I only give him 2 because he's going to get too fat if I give him 3. Because he it. So anyway, so let's have a quick look and we'll see who he goes for. I think most people have probably seen this now. Even the wife shared it on Twitter this afternoon. He's hungry. He was hungry. It was a short one. Look, didn't have to kick him.
Went straight for it.
Yeah, and he went right.
Interesting. Yeah. He did.
Can you guess who he went for though? He went for
Kane.
Mate. He went for Bruno.
Wow. So he's gone for Bruno.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get a bigger sign than that, are you, for this week?
I still oppose him. But no, it's with all seriousness, and I just go back to this. He is a fantastic captain option this week. He's very, very strong.
Bruno.
I just think that I still think that Kane might just do something a little bit different, and I'm just hanging out for that. I might be wrong. Let's see.
So you're talking about Kane or you're talking about Bruno?
Pardon?
Were you talking about Kane or Bruno there?
Bruno. I think Bruno. I think is standout. I think Bruno's standout, but I think Kane could be. He could be due something. I've just got that funny feeling. I don't know why.
Okay, perfect. We're going to end that segment there. We're going to go straight to questions from the community, the part where we answer, or rather the experts answer, all of your FPL questions. We're about an hour out from the deadline. So, guys, if you're watching, you still got time to make the adjustments to your team. Don't forget to do it. I think, there's 7 o'clock the deadline. So you just got over an hour to sort everything out. I'm just going to scroll down. Big hi to everyone that's been watching or that's just joined the stream. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are, please give it a like and do subscribe if you're not already. Swang says, Siva's Bellerin biggest fan. Is that true? Is that true?
No, I'm an Arsenal fan.
West Ham fan. I'm confused.
I'm an Arsenal fan, and
I'm wearing a West Ham jersey.
Oh, that's for next week when I get Jesse Lingard in as captain against.
I mean, the fact that you have a West Ham jersey, I mean, is
dubious, right?
Don't understand that. Arsenal fan with a West Ham jersey. But anyway, first question for today, boys, which we have answered. Mohammed Hazik, who the captain between Kane and Bruno? We don't have to go into that because we want to speed through things. We've got a lot to go through. Hazik, if you've been watching, the boys have answered it. The metric has been answered. Bruno is the man to captain if you follow the captaincy metric. But, and there is a but here, Mariner fancies Kane quite a bit. So he's going to go Kane. So however you want to look at it, if you follow the FPL player, if you follow the stats, there are your two. Bruno's with the stats and Kane. The stats and Oliver have picked Bruno, and Kane is what Mariner's going with. Shane asks, thoughts on bench boost, Brighton and Southampton assets on the bench versus triple captain Kane. So this is a tough one. This is an issue that a lot of us have. We both have both chips. Is it a good time to to bench boost with both Brighton and Southampton assets on the bench? We've talked about Southampton and how they haven't really been doing well. Boys, take it away.
Brighton and Southampton. It depends. How many Brighton? Has he got 2? That would be the first question I would ask. But I mean, look, I think Southampton are a bit. I think I used the term busted flush earlier on. I think if it was the choice between the two, I would probably triple captain Kane.
Same, I think, because I mean, Brighton against West Brom could be a clean sheet, but you saw what happened against Palace. Southampton, I don't see much from them, so I think Kane triple cap.
Okay, perfect. So triple captain Kane. Obviously, it's very much dependent on how many assets you have. But you guys are not averse to taking hits, obviously, as we found out on the show.
No,
if he takes a minus 16 or something like that, or minus 12, he could sort that bench out as well.
Well, if you take your Southampton players out for 2 for a minor, even if he's not made any moves, if he's got 2,000 Southampton assets for sake of argument, let's say he's got Ings there, he could become DCL. You could take someone, I don't know who else he's got, Ward-Prowse could become Barnes, off you go.
Yeah. Bungle, I'm nonchalantly batting away the stats metric which screamed to avoid the Kane captaincy. I end up lamenting the talisman community pick over the data. I mean, it's a tough one, boys, this week. We're not going to lie. The stats don't back Kane up. But can you ever ignore Harry Kane?
I don't think you can. My honest view is I don't think you can own him. Can't discount him. I brought him in. I thought at one stage I was just owning him was enough. But the longer I thought about it, I thought, no, I'm going to need to captain him. That said, I don't see an awful lot coming from Son, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, and Seva, same?
Yeah, I mean, you can't overthink this, right? So last week we all went Bamford because he's the safe pick, and Bamford gets outscored by 2 other Leeds players. So just, if you think somebody's the best, just go for it. And if, you own the rest, you should be okay.
Okay, follow your gut instinct, Bungle. That is the advice. Vincent's asked, will he bench boost with Areola, Bamford, Dallas, and Dunk?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would. I might look at one hit for a doubler among there. I would be tempted. You say, I've got this funny feeling. I'm thinking I'm taking Dallas out. That's the hour warning, by the way, for the FPL deadline. That's just gone.
You can always do it. A little bit of advice. I mean, the small advice that I can give you, Mariner. Always do it 5 minutes before the deadline. So set it at.
That's an hour before. That's a Google alert. That's a Google one. But being honest with you, I think Dallas. I could take Dallas out over Dunk this week, perhaps. I think I could, and I think I could replace Dallas with a Pereira or a Dean if I have the cash, for sure. That's where I'm coming from. But it depends how much money you've got. If you end up going for someone like Target, I'm not sure.
Okay, Vincent asked the second part of this question. Watkins rumors definitely fake. What do I do with him? We obviously never know for sure whether it's true or false, but we're struggling to find any real concrete information on him on the net. Boys, would you keep him and take that risk or take him out?
I think don't buy, don't sell. That's basically the advice here, because he's got really good fixtures. If he shows up, Leeds and Sheffield United, you want him. If you take him out and then he plays, you're going to just beat yourself up about it. So I think, don't buy, don't sell.
I think the other thing worth mentioning is that Grealish might be back for the second game. I mean, Watkins without Grealish is a problem in my eyes. But with him, different gravy.
Ali Sophia Ruslan, how are you? Always supporting our show, so thanks for joining the stream. The only discussion is what's with Watkins and the Kane injury. Kane injury? I don't think I've read that. Is there a rumor, guys?
No, it's a fake tweet.
There's some. Is it a fake tweet? Is it the insider? Is it the piss take on the insider? There's one yesterday.
Parodies of this insider account that's coming up now, so everybody's pretending to be him and posting that. So that happened yesterday.
Oh God! All right, okay.
Remember that we won't know who people have taken out until after the deadline.
Yeah. So ignore this, completely.
Completely.
Okay, ignore it, Ali Sufyan. Don't read too much into it. Bungle's back. He says, I'm bench boosting with McCarthy, me, Rafinha, Bamford, Vincent.
Vestergaard, maybe.
Vincent. I think the Leeds picks are the main reason for me. I think the Leeds picks are the main reason for me for why he's bench boosting. I mean, look, I think Raf and Bamford are two great bench boost options. They could easily outscore double game week players again this week. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I really hope they do because they're on my bench boost too. Me,
maybe Dina, maybe Pereira for me.
And McCarthy, well, I'm not happy.
McCarthy is a bit of the worry with it.
Yeah, I can't see. He might save a penalty knowing my luck, probably from Richarlison.
Okay. Edwin asked, not much concern about team selection. Mostly will have at least 9 to 11 double game week players, which is a reasonable amount. Can share all captaincy options, still hanging on Kane triple captain. Edwin, we're going to zoom past this question because we've gone through it. We've done a whole segment on captaincy. Please do check it out. As I mentioned earlier, the captaincy metric says Bruno Fernandes. Oliver the Cat says Bruno Fernandes. That's the stats talking. If you're talking about what our experts are going with, FPL Mariner is going with Kane and Siba is going with DCL. So those are the two from the boys, but the stats and data back Bruno Fernandes up. Let's see. Swaying, don't believe the Watkins rumor, so that's good. There's no injury, no Kane. Going without Kane could be a game changer for me. Can't afford him without changing my team structure. Is this something that you'd advise strongly? Because the data is not supporting it. But if you don't have Kane, you obviously got a lot of money parked up somewhere else, which allows you to get in, boost up your Everton selections. Get Calvert-Lewin in, maybe Digne at the back. But without Kane, I mean, do you reckon it could be a big red arrow? Obviously we don't know the results right now, but how much of a risk is it to go this double game week without Kane?
If he doesn't own Son, quite a big one, I think. the EO probably is going to be very high, I think, on Kane. Combination. Son kills me every week. If all Son has to do is score, he kills me because I don't own him. So, owning Kane for me is a little bit of a shield pick over Son. But, I mean, look, you can go without anybody. People have finished very, very high in FPL without Salah for a full season. It is possible. About who else you've got in your team. It's about who you captain. If Bruno hauls and you haven't got Kane, it probably won't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the team as a whole, right? Because like the guy who's number one right now has Bernardo Silva in his team, okay? So, and none of us even consider.
That's very true. That's very true.
And the thing is, if you look at Twitter and Reddit, you keep seeing every team with Captain Kane. You feel bad because you don't have him. But look at the players who you do have, who those guys don't have. Maybe you got Barnes. Maybe you have DCL. And you make up the points there.
Okay.
And maybe Vardy, perhaps. Some people have Vardy instead of Kane. And again, I wouldn't, you cannot rule somebody like Vardy out either. There's plenty of options out there. You just can't own them all, I'm afraid. That's the same old trick, isn't it?
Talking about hits, Swing has taken a -12 to bring in Aina, Schmeichel, Son, and Watkins. Very interesting. How do you ask?
Well, Siva?
They are important in the sense that they have, along with Everton, probably the best double. So you would have to be. I mean, I've not been impressed with Spurs' form. They've looked awful, and I'm not buying this Bale Renaissance thing. He had one good half of football, and he scored a goal in midweek against the 5th team in the Australian league. So we've all got to calm down. But having one Spurs asset seems like a decent option. And if you had to pick between Son and Kane, Son's playing far on the right wing. He's not getting shots. So I think having one Spurs asset, likely Kane, is a good idea this week.
Rajbet 30, Watkins as a captaincy shout. Looking at the fixtures, Leeds and Sheffield United look to leak goals in general. This is interesting because we've spoken about differentials in double game weeks when we're talking about double game week 26 assets. But Watkins as a captaincy shout. Now, there is a rumor of the injury floating about. Would he be in your thinking for captaincy shouts, or are there better options?
Not for me. Not for me. It wouldn't be a captaincy shout for me this week because I think without Grealish, we're not even sure Grealish is back for the second game. There's rumours that he could be, but Watkins without Grealish, he's not. Grealish is your creator, isn't he? He's your most creative player, and he not just that. He pulls teams around. People have to spend a lot of time. There's a lot of effort taken covering, and that creates space for other players. So for me, no, not if Grealish was fully fit, then I think that would have been a very valid differential option.
Okay. Away from FPL for a bit, for this question, Mariner, shirt's looking good. Where are you going? What are your weekend plans?
I've just been out for lunch. I'm actually sitting. I just thought I'd wear this really shit shirt because I heard a rumor that someone might be wearing a West Ham shirt. I'm only joking.
Astralicious asks, we all have double city defenses, and by now we all know that they are playing just one game, right? That old Pep roulette, which it's kind of gone away from the rest of the team now. It's spread to the back now. You don't know if Stones is going to play, if Laporte's going to play. The only one who, as I mentioned earlier, who's guaranteed is pretty much Edison.
Yeah, but you can't do anything about that, right? And the thing is, these guys have a chance of keeping a clean sheet almost every time they step on the pitch. So I think if you've got City assets, just play them. And like, Mariner said last week, he didn't play Cancelo and he almost, paid for it with a 12-pointer. So you take that risk.
I got away with it. I really dodged a bullet. But saying that, look, you can look at it. You can always look at the team which has come out, particularly if they've played midweek. Look at that. I think you've got to a chance of working out who may start above somebody else, but it's difficult, right? It is tough, but you could see that. Is Cancelo due a rest? I would say yes, he is. There's my call. I think he's resting this. I think he's resting this next game. I don't know what you think, Siva. Do you think Cancelo's due it?
Well, what I will say is that we all thought he was going to get benched last week, which is why a lot of people were benching him,
That's
and then
why
he
I think
started.
he's benched this week. That's probably why I think he's going to be benched this week.
I mean, then you look at City, and it's a double game week, and as I said just now, he gets rest for one of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't predict Pep, right? He starts Gundogan and plays him for 90 minutes 3 days after an injury. So you can't predict.
True enough. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, let's just gloss over that and just say just own 3 City and just be done with it, right?
Bungo says Digne versus Bednarak could be proper naughty, and I think he's right. Digne is a great shout, not so widely owned, 10% overall. Boys, I mean, you did call him. I think it was Siva who did in his shout. Digne topped your list of your double game week 26 assets, and this kind of supports it.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a red card. I wouldn't be at all surprised.
I think
a red card or an own goal. It could be another Bednarek masterclass this week. It really could. He's Dean against Bednarek. I think if Gabe's on, he'd probably be licking his lips at the thought of a matchup there, wouldn't he?
I think it's James who's always brought like Digne in. He's got a love-hate relationship with him. Every time he's brought him in or played him, he's never hauled. But every time he benches him or sells him, he just gets an assist or a clean sheet or something like that. It's ridiculous.
I have to say that is one of the thinkings behind Dean for me is potentially this match. I think Bungle's onto something. Bungle could well be onto something from Tokyo there because that's where he's from.
Okay, Siva, a lot of love for your voice from Swing. Voice sounds good. You have had a good debut. I'm not going to lie. Might consider giving you the man of the match award, but we'll see.
It sounds so good. It's the voice of reason. It's rather than some dodgy geezer with a dodgy shirt from Grimsby. You see, that's what you need. You need some sense.
Speaking about shirt, questionable colour, Chris, but you have to wear that every week if you haul. And
I've got far worse. I'll wear an even worse one if Kane hauls.
Here you go. From your
Thank you, Kieran. Yeah, next time I'll pick your team. I'll pick all West Brom players. Next.
I don't know what's worse, to be fair, the shirt or that. Mariner's messing with my mind now. I don't have a single Everton player. It's definitely something to consider going into this double game week. Just looking for this. 2 options for you guys from Ali Sufyan. Current wildcard, ones with Kane plus Son plus Digne or Pereira, 4-4-2. Or second option, Kane plus Digne plus Pereira plus Diaz or Cancelo, 3-5-2. Is getting double Spurs essential or just Kane?
Do you want to start, Siva? I'm still trying to read it.
I think Kane is sufficient if you're looking for a Spurs asset. I've had Son for the last God knows when. He's done absolutely nothing. So I think Kane is sufficient. Kane's probably the guy with the lower, the higher floor. He's on pens. I like the 3-5-2. I still think one City defensive asset with the number of clean sheets they keep, it just seems like good sense. 6 points every week is not exciting, but better than nothing. I would go 3-5-2.
I'll be little spoiler alert. I'll be starting Rafinha. He'll be in my starting 11. I think he will outscore some of the players who I've got who are doubling. So I'm actually prepared to start obviously I'm bench boosting anyway, but I'm prepared to. I want to. When you're bench boosting, don't put bloody Fernandez on the bench and say I've got a great bench boost. This is Mariner ranting as usual. Put the players up. Pick your team as if you're picking it like you want to pick your best team, and obviously then you'll see whether you've called the bench boost right for the future. I think Rafinha can easily outscore a Fulham defender this week.
Definitely.
Easily.
Okay. Ashley asks, who do you prefer, Dyer or Target instead of Kufar?
Well, I've already answered this on the chat. I said Dyer.
Dyer, yeah.
I did. No, I'll tell you why. Because I just think that they've got a game. Target has got they're a bit weak, right? They've got El Mohammadi out, right? I think Dyer has possibly a pretty good chance of getting a clean sheet in one of these two games, and they've got Palace next week, and then they've got a game in 29. That's my view. I don't know. What do you think? You've just screwed your nose up. That one.
Your eyes roll.
He screwed his nose up. But you know, I always said this at the start of the season. You cannot forget that Eric Dyer speaks Portuguese, right? So it's very important.
It seems like as if Mourinho uses that against him, as far as I can tell. But I like Target. I'll tell you why. Okay, so we talked about game week 19, right? Target is one of the highest scorers there, 18 points.
True.
I don't like Villa defense because of Cash being out, but Sheffield United feels like an easy clean. They may double in 28, and they play in 29. And look at Spurs defense. They conceded within 5 minutes against West Ham. Do you really want a Spurs defender? And Dyer game time risk seems to be in and out.
Yeah. Maybe thinking about it, maybe you're right. Maybe Reguilon would have been a better option. If it had been
Reguilon's got upside. Yeah. I would go Target.
I'll take that back, Simeon. Siva, the voice of reason, has it's been a long week.
Mustang asked Digne for Tete worth for -8. I'm playing bench boost this game week. Tete's at Fulham, right?
He is. Now I know a few people. There's one or two quite high-profile accounts brought Tete in, late riser among them.
Yeah, but
he's not
renting it now.
Is he? Yeah, he is. I don't think he's nailed, is he? I think there's a risk about him not being nailed. And if that's the case, what's the point of him being there? So you could argue that he's not going to play. You could argue that you're in the same position as you are with a single game weaker or someone like that. So you might. What do you think, Siva? I think.
Yeah, because Tete didn't play the last game. So that already, alarm bells came off because Anthony Robinson came back in. So if you're not sure about a guy playing, like I'm not sure about Cavani, I took him out. I think you take the guy out.
Okay. Next one is Ali Sufyan. Due to Pep Roulette, is Triple City still significant for double game week 26? Or is double City enough and safe play? I'll do the Triple City in game week 27.
You wouldn't take one out. So I presume he's only got two now. If that's the case, he's bringing one in, then obviously it depends who he's got. You could always argue, we've just said you can oppose City players this week with respect to captaincy. You could argue you could oppose them for other aspects as well, given the fact there's rotation. So I think it depends who you're really looking at. For me, I just think we don't want to necessarily overthink this game too much. I think we probably think too much as it is without thinking too much about the fact we need 3 City players, because I think we do.
Yeah, I think Joe spoke about this, right? He's got double City. And by having double this week, next week, they're definitely your captain. You get to make that decision on the third guy you want. Maybe he's going to be your captain. Maybe KDB, Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the I have looked at how I can switch from two, because I own Gundogan, Cancelo, and Stones, like probably a lot of us. And I have looked at whether I could go to Gundogan and KDB and who I would take out and when I would do it. It's a bit of a bind, right? It takes some doing. It probably means losing Bruno or Salah as well to do it. So it's a bit of a bind. But if you've only got 2, at least you can zig or zag, right? I suppose. But,
okay. Update on Watkins. Don't know how true this is, but this is from Dean. Watkins got a cut on his ankle. It's nothing apparently. As I said, don't know how true. So it's still a gamble for me.
Look out. Dean Smith's about.
Nat Klinkerson. I hope I got that right. Is it worth to get -4 to get Digne and play him over Bamford or Rafinha? Digne, as we know, we've talked a lot about him. Fantastic FPL asset for this week. Everton have got arguably the best fixtures going into 26. But would you take him -4 and play him over Bamford and Rafinha? Or Rafinha, sorry.
I mean, who's he taking out? I think that's the first question I would say. But
I like the look of Bamford. I think Bamford might get. He could easily get a return. Rafinha could easily get a return. Dean, you are looking for. You need to get at least 4 more points than this for it to work. 2 appearance points, 1 clean sheet. Maybe it's borderline. What do you think, Siva?
It's borderline, right? Because I think the ceiling for somebody like Dean is maybe around 18 points, realistically. Yeah. Rafinha ceiling probably around 13. So it's right on the edge. I think also look at it long term, because you take out Rafinha this week, you're probably going to want him back for 29. So that's how I look at it.
We're not talking about taking them
just
out.
playing him over.
Just play him over.
Yeah. Then I guess you could. I mean, it's scary because Rafinha looked really good, but it's on the edge. But I would still go for the double game week, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, if you're playing a bench boost, you won't have that issue. Might be hard to find any news of any sort after last week. Yep, I think that's the biggest problem after last week's leak. You're going to struggle from now on to get any sort of information from.
But we're all in fantasy. We're all in a fantasy world, and we don't matter.
Yeah. Mariner, this is targeted just for you, but we'd love to hear Siva's opinion on it as well from Sweng. Ralph Tineto, guess he's meaning Rafinha.
Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing that gets to mind.
Tineto. Who have they got? They've got Newcastle and.
I'm not even looking at them, to be honest with you.
Newcastle and somebody, haven't they? I know they've got Newcastle.
Do they have a double?
Yeah.
Newcastle and Man City.
Rafinha? No. Rafinha, why would you take Rafinha out? Because Wolves don't play in 29, right?
No. So no, big no. Yeah, we're going to leave it as that.
At the moment.
No.
Unless he's got his free hit, of course.
Joseph says, I'd get Rudiger in this week for Dallas. As a fan, I'm pretty sure we'd get at least 1 clean sheet. Good floor for him, in my opinion. Do you reckon that Chelsea will get a clean sheet?
I've already called it potentially that I think it could be a 0-0 draw, that first one against City, against United. I personally won't look for Rudiger until game week 31.
With Chelsea's
I think there's about a 4-week run of fixtures, I think, off the top of my head.
Well, this week is Liverpool and United. I mean, that's just a straight up, we stay away kind of thing.
I mean, stranger things could happen, but I don't know. No.
Bungle remembers the all-out attack chip. He says it was pants, but I don't know. It seems to be like I was the only one that liked it. Weird, but
I'm not sure if anybody knows what Bungle was. Bungle was this bear off the program Rainbow back in the UK when I was a kid. Do you know this, Craig? You never know it.
Well, a little bit after your time.
Yeah. This is from someone from my era. If someone's called Bungle, it's someone from my era for sure.
Well, if you can see his icon, it has exactly what you're talking about on it. Yeah. So you're right. It's spot on there. Yeah, a little bit after, before my time rather. Yeah, quite a few people on here never actually played FPL when the all-out attack chip was there.
No.
I can't remember when that was actually, to be fair. Anyway, Vincent says Bamford, Son, Dallas, Dunk, 4, DCL, M. Pereira, R. Pereira, Matthias Pereira, Ricardo Pereira, Dina for -16. But that will leave me with 4 players for blank week 29. Sorry, that was my dog.
I wasn't sure what that was for a minute. Bamford, Son, Dallas, and
I think he was actually agreeing with that shout to me.
DCL Pereira. I think that's a step too far for me. That's not for the Mariner.
No, it's not for Mariner. Is it?
No, it's just too much, right? And Matthias Pereira, yes, he had a really good double game week 19, but I mean, betting on a West Brom attacker, right, and going a -16 on him. Braver man than me, I think.
I just feel like you're banging square pegs into round holes with something like that. I think you're just getting that little bit. You're probably just going that little bit too far. I think you could argue that DCL and Dean would be excellent. One of DCL and Pereira. One of Dean and Pereira and DCL would be, I think, excellent potential moves there. But that said, I don't know that I'd go too much further.
Yeah,
probably 2 of the 4.
Ali Osama. I will captain Son or Bruno.
I won't.
I will captain Son kind of like go cancels it out.
I won't. No, I'd go Bruno over Son every day of the week at the moment.
Yep, Siva as well.
Yeah, if you're going Son, it's purely a punt. There's nothing to base it on. No form, nothing. That's a hope, And but if you're talking about ceilings, Son's got a high ceiling midfielder. You never know.
Wanzo, how on we? Which chip should I use? Triple captain, bench boost. Triple captain for Kane, Salah, or Bruno, or bench boost. My bench is McCarthy, Bamford, Dallas, Kufal. All single game weeks. Tough one, boys.
Again, I would say, has he taken any hits yet? That'd be the first question I would say. Have you taken any hits? Consider up to 8-point hit for a couple of good double game weekers. If you've already taken hits and this is what you're facing with, then I don't know that I would bench Kufal. No. McCarthy, Bamford, Dallas, okay. I might triple captain.
Yeah, I would triple captain with that.
Okay, triple captain it is. Fudsley says, triple captain Kane, Bruno, DCL, or should I hold my triple captain? Please help. Would you? I mean, we spoke about the fixtures of Everton. You're doing the captaincy on him, Siva, but triple captain, is that a step too far?
I think we overhype triple captain, right? Because we've all had triple captain fails. And I look back, the season I finished, I think 12K. I had triple captain Kane for 3 points. So
yeah, wow.
You can overhype these things. So I think if you think somebody's the best captain, you want to play the triple captain, go for it. I don't think we will get a better game week than this, as far as what we know, in front of us. You don't want to triple captain a City player. So I think go for it this week. All those options are fine.
I've not really looked into it yet, but I did wonder whether we could predict what's going on with City maybe a bit better next week than this week. And they do have a double game week again next week. I wonder if we can spot something. Yeah, because to be honest, the missus needs to play her triple captainship. She was asking me about it. She wanted to use it, and I said, no, I don't know whether you hold it back. So I think there are other options. I just think at this moment in time, as I say, everybody's got one good fixture.
Yeah,
thank goodness I played mine. I played my, albeit I only played it on Sterling. I missed out on the Gundogan haul, but I've got rid of mine anyway. I agree with you, Siva. I think it's not a great. I don't think it's a great. Massive upside for that chip, really.
Okay, is Barnes too overhyped? I'm going to answer this one, boys. No, he's not. He's a man on form. He's going to be the go-to man with Maddison out as well. So Barnes is definitely not too overhyped, and he's got decent fixtures. I think the Arsenal one will be tasty for him up against Bellerin. But yeah, Devendra Raj asks, any updates on Watkins? We don't have any. We believe that there's nothing more to it than just a rumor. So we expect him to play. So don't panic just yet. But we will help you with this. Do or die. -12 for Bamford, Watkins, Dallas. 2, DCL, Maja, Aina. Yes or no?
It's a lot of Fulham.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like Maja just generally, but he didn't. He's cheap, right? But how many goals do you see from him? Palace maybe, and then they play Spurs. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot.
No, I don't know. Maj Aina.
You don't have to go into detail. It's just a yes. Yes,
I don't think so.
Siva, yes or no?
I don't like -12. It's too much.
Too much. You're gonna go no, yeah?
We need Joe on here because he would say yes.
Yeah. So it's a big no, Devendra. from the boys. I can't keep Watkins. I need to find for DCL. I can bench boost with Sanchez, Dunk, Aina, and Rafinha.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's not the worst bench in the world, is it?
That's not too bad, actually.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go with this. Bench boost this. I like this from Bongo. Celebrating a Kane Captain Hall as a Gooner feels all shades of wrong. Behind closed doors, only that one. I will say this, right? I've got Arsenal fans who play Baby Wales basically, and he refuses to play or captain anyone against Arsenal. He doesn't captain anyone against Arsenal. He refuses to, no matter how good, however the stats look. He just refuses to do it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he'd refuse to captain Spurs assets. I'm not entirely sure.
I had a conversation on this similar topic. I had a conversation this morning on the stereo chat, which myself and Gabe did, with one chap who says, I hate Manchester United. I will not own Bruno ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And I said, well, I suggest if you want to do well at FPL, perhaps you might throw that hatchet.
But you do get this. I mean, you do get these things. You do get these fans who are really passionate about their team. That just, it goes all the way to FPL. And I kind of think, if you get obvious ones like, like I'm never going to have Bruno Fernandes because I support City or I support Liverpool. I mean, it's just, why are you even playing then?
When you'd have him, you just don't tell your mates. Yeah. Right? Just don't tell your mates you've got him. That's all you've got to do.
Yeah.
Pretend you have him.
Urban Infinity says Salah and Bamford for Barnes and Kane, who's going to triple captain, -8, or even Tarkowski and Son for Digne and Barnes -8 are two options I'm considering, but I can't bring myself to do either. Which one or neither? You got to really study this one, boys. So basically, would you bring Barnes and Kane in for Salah and Bamford and triple captain Kane? This is on a -8. Or would you bring Digne and Barnes in for a -8? And no triple captain there.
I'm talking too much, Sivi. You go first. I'm still thinking.
Okay, so I mean, he's bringing in Barnes either way in these moves, but
yes,
the first move gives him Kane at the expense of Salah. I mean, if you are going to triple captain him, I think that's worth it. Obviously, the Taco move out.
I would just say, Siva, you're talking about taking out Salah and Bamford over Tarkowski and Son.
Yeah, but Salah's got one good fixture, one bad fixture, right? So you're really only scared about the Sheffield United fixture. Whereas if we take, the logic here, Kane has two good fixtures. Bamford out for Barnes. Barnes got, 2 fixtures. So I think that's fine. I mean, a lot of people we're all too scared about taking out big hitters. You've got to, if you're targeting someone for captaincy, you've got to do it. I think you've got to take some sacrifices here.
I think if you do not intend to captain Salah anytime going forward, I think the first option is not a bad move.
Okay. Well, boys, we're really going to move it on a little bit, just because time.
I'm just about to make my I'm just making my transfers as we speak. Actually, I'm just making my transfers at this moment.
Just a reminder to everyone that's still watching: you've got less than half an hour to make your transfers, so please do it. Do not forget. While you're doing that, Mariner, Siv, I'm not sure if you've done your team and you're set in stone, but maybe you can take this one. Would you guys get Areola and Konsa for Kufal and Fraser Forster for -8? No, Fraser Forster.
Yeah, so that's probably a bench boost team, I would think, because I can't imagine those are starters. Forster doesn't play. So Areola is a good pick, and he plays in 29. Konsa, Kufal. I like Konsa because they're playing Leeds set-piece threat. They kind of conceded set pieces. I don't mind that.
Okay. Who's there? Do I triple captain Kane? Yes, we believe. If you can, if you're not playing your bench boost, your bench isn't that great. Definitely, it's a good fixture to have. So yes, why not? Devendra says, have a Kane, Son, Bruno, Gundogan, Salah. I need to get DCL somehow at the expense of Watkins and Bamford. Who would you take out, Watkins or Bamford? Quickly, Watkins has a double game fixture, Bamford only the one, but Bamford plays in 29. Oh, Watkins does too as well. Which one would you take out? Would you go with the double game fixture and keep Watkins?
Bloody hell. This is so difficult because you've got this Grealish issue flying around, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think 2 for 1, right? DCL over Bamford. Probably. If you can buy, do we need to buy Bamford back? That's just one thing which has been in the back of my mind is, can we actually go without Bamford now? Obviously he's got a good fixture in 29, hasn't he? And then he's got a decent fixture in 30. But after that, I think it's about done.
Yeah.
For fixtures. So can you just try and limp past with someone like Rafinha or someone like that without Bamford? You could argue you could, with Watkins having that extra double game week coming up at some stage, Grealish coming back. I might get rid of Bamford. I've thought about getting rid of Bamford myself this week. I haven't got rid of it yet. I've just got rid of Dallas, by the way. I've just took Dallas out for Dean.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
So my bench, by the way, Craig, is Areola, Dean, Bamford, and Tozin. I can't even say his name, so I'm going to say go for his first name.
Yeah. Adebayo. Navin says, who do I transfer in between Pereira and Digne, shipping out Cresswell to do so? This is a tough one. We've talked about how good both these players are for this coming game week. But if you had to choose one, which would it be?
I've just made that choice, Dean.
Yeah. Siva?
At the start of the week, I said Pereira, but with the Madison injury, I think Dean. Yeah.
Dean, yeah. Okay. Vincent says Bamford or Watkins out for DCL. Worried about the rumors. He purchased Bamford at 5.9. Again, same thing, boys. What are we doing?
If you're going to buy him back, if you can't afford to buy him back, you're probably not going to take him out. That's the you've got to think about what you're going to do later on. You may want to try and get around 29 with a different forward. How about Antonio as a forward for 29?
Yeah. There's another one which is similar to what's been asked quite often, but this is Richarlison. So, Marion, I'll let you have this one. For a -4, is it too punty? He'll be up against Bednarek.
I don't think it's too punty at all. No, I don't. I can't stand the guy, but I don't think it's punty. I think I still might do this move. I've got half an hour to decide whether I do this move or not.
That would be a -8.
That would be -8. Yeah, I would actually make a -8 and bring Richarlison in. It'll be unheard of. It'll be unheard of in the Mariner household. I'm getting like Joe. It must be like it's like Joe. He must be influencing me.
Even when he's not here. But I did see he's made a comment down below, so I think he's watching. He'll be proud of you, Mariner. Who's the best captain choice this week? I don't have Kane or Son. Bruno Fernandes, if you saw the metric earlier on, that's what it's pointing at. Bruno Fernandes,
Salah, DCL.
Salah, anyone out of those three. Do I play target? Ricardo, Dominguez, Barbosa?
I think he means Pereira from.
I thought he said give me 4.
That's his name. Yeah.
But I was just reading it all. I'm like, who are these players?
Should he not say Matthew Target as well then?
Yeah, and his middle name, I'm sure he has. But Target or Pereira, I think this one is straightforward, boys.
I'll go with Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira it is. I'm just trying to see. Do you think it's better to sell Cresswell and get Pereira? We're a fan of that, aren't we, boys? Yep. It's a big yes.
Like just knocking donkeys here, aren't we?
Do you think it's okay to take -4 for Saka out and Lookman in? Double game week for Lookman. Informed Saka, though. Boys. And he plays in 29, I think, Saka. Oh, they both do.
Both do.
Yeah.
Both of them do.
I don't think I would do that, if I'm being honest, because Lookman's got one good fixture and he's kind of assisting the assister a lot.
He's hit and miss, isn't he? He's hit and miss.
Yeah, Saka's a premium asset at that, who's really underpriced. I would keep Saka.
Saka is almost certainly going to be in my team by the time I get to game week 29. Almost certainly. He's lined up.
So don't take Saka out. Leave him on. Okay, this is for me. Bamford to Richarlison for me. Oh, no. We've done this already.
Please ignore it.
Aina or Target? Quickly, boys.
Come on.
I
Go
mean,
on, Siva.
I love Aina, I really do, but I think
he will give you a shout, to be fair.
Yeah,
So you got to back it up now.
but the pragmatic thing, right? So Target may have that double in 28, and I think that's what would swing me to Target.
Yeah, we just don't know. We just don't know, do we? It's just very, very difficult. I mean, for me, I don't know that I would risk doubling up on Villa. I own Martinez, so I might go Aina.
Okay. Mariner, you must be going out somewhere later. Tell us the truth.
No, I'm really not. I'm really not.
This is
I've
perfect
got-
for you.
I've got a date with Narcos.
What? On your table or
No, I'm just going to watch it. No.
on your tabletop or on the screen?
I'm going to watch a bit of football and a bit of Netflix. I think. I don't think I'm going to watch too much football tonight.
Late to the show, Mariner there, but it's all right. My defense is Martinez, Shaw, Stones, Target. I feel that it's so weak without Dina, Cancelo, Diaz, Pereira. I mean, that's going to take a lot of hits just for your defense. But really, your question is
a weak defense with Martinez, Shaw, Stones, and Target.
That's pretty good.
I don't think it's weak at all.
I mean, in comparison to Dina, Cancelo, Diaz,
Cancelo, Diaz, Pereira. Well, you know, Dean okay, Cancelo and Diaz rotation risk. Pereira, yeah, I mean Pereira's a good option. I don't know. I don't think I would be too. I wouldn't be falling off. I've got a combination of the two actually.
All right. Sorry, boys. I'm going to be the one receiving the champagne and popping it today. I've been given the man of the match award by
What
viewers.
What have you done?
I really don't know, but I'll take it anyway. I don't ask too many questions for that. Everton have lost 2-0 to Fulham, and Newcastle have got a feeling Everton will struggle to score goals against Southampton and West Brom. There's always one that ruins it for everyone. There's always one. I mean, you've got one of our experts that's set on captaining him. We're all like pumping DCL.
And I've now doubled up on Everton.
And now you're going to double. You have already, or
I
you
have
going
doubled up on Everton because I've got Calvert-Lewin as well, haven't I? So I've got
and now you're going to triple up.
Triple up, yeah.
The triple up. I've got 19 minutes to decide whether I do Bamford to Richarlison. I think I am not going to do it.
Okay. Pick one of Diaz Cancelo for game week 26. I'll add another City defender in game week 27. Pick one, boys, straight up.
Stones, Diaz, Cancelo. Well, I didn't see who had been rotated in and out, so I can't really answer this question. I did Stones
If you had
play?
if you had to pick one.
Stones, for me.
Stones was benched midweek. So
Stones then.
Wildcard dilemma. Currently have Dina, Rafinha, Bamford. Rafinha and Bamford are going to be on his bench this week. Is Son for Rafinha to get Kane and Son worth it? This means getting rid of Bamford for Davies and Dina for. Wow, you lost me already. That
No, it's not worth it.
No, not worth it. Okay, good. I don't even know what
No.
Yeah. Siva, yes or no? I don't even know what I'm asking.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
No,
no.
would you
Follow
put
Mariners.
Son in for Rafinha to get a double up of Kane and Son, which means getting rid of Bamford for Davis of all people.
Keenan Davis.
Davis is nearly as good as Mr. Binary, Mr. Brewster.
If he's not playing Davis, then I don't hate it. Because if you're just benching him, that's fine.
Depends, I suppose. Yeah. Where are you? Where are you?
He can't play his bench boost because he's playing his wildcard.
He might have played it. He might have played it.
Yeah, I think that's fine then.
So you're okay with this, yeah?
Because if you're just going to put Davis on your bench, I think third on the bench, you're never going to play him again. I think that's okay.
You do the double up. Wow. Okay.
Sorry. So yes or no, Mariner? You said yes for the previous one. You'd like that?
Yeah.
Siva's a fan. Okay. James C. Bench this week is Pope, Loughton, Bamford, Ferguson. Can only afford Ferguson to burn for a -4. Would you bench boost this or hold the bench boost for later?
Pope, Loughton, Bamford, and Burn. Well, the only other option, bench boost, where have we got options? We might have an option next week. We might have an option 28. We might have an option 30, 31, 30. There's a few options yet where there could be double game weeks in there. I don't know whether that's strong. What do you think, sir? It's a bit borderline for me.
It's really borderline because you're taking a hit to get a single game weaker in Burn. I mean, basically need a back in return from him, and he can't.
you do. I mean, you're trying to get 16 points, aren't you? Sort of, you need to be getting 16 points. With this, with the -4, you probably want 20 points. Where are you going to get 20 points from that from?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
Okay, so we are
probably not.
No. Okay, cool. Joe's on the show. He's watching. Joe missed you today, but I think Siva's done a fantastic job, and Marinette as well in covering for you. So, great stuff here, Siva. Thanks once again for coming on the show. Been a fantastic debut. Okay, Marinette, you're in your last chance with Oliver, all right? If he screws up this week, the people have spoken. Joe has spoken. My dog is picking the next captaincy next week.
You can do that if you like. We'll do a fake stuff. There's already competing against Gianni Sharko on Twitter. There's Sharko already.
Cat pick versus dog pick. Let's have it.
Cat pick versus dog. Well, the cat's not doing too badly at this moment in time. He's only ballsed it up once recently.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find out the next question. Not really a question, but chasing in my mini leagues, friends got DCL triple captain 2. Wow, that's brave. I've got to say. I have to say. Joe saying the whole
point, isn't it? And I think the thing which Hibbo said last night on my show, you're playing where you are where you sit, what your own circumstances are, is whether you go for that Fernandez captain, the Kane captain, or indeed a DCL, or even a Harvey Barnes captain. There's another outsider shout for you.
That's not a bad shout.
Yeah. Okay. Very active, as Joe pointed out earlier, very active on the comments. Please do keep them coming in when we are streaming live. Now we're obviously pushed for a little bit of time. So we're trying to whiz through everything and try and answer all your questions. This is another one from Vincent. Sorry. Dallas or Dunk to Maitland-Niles, a dire -8 points. Would you do it?
Dallas or Dunk? Dallas or Dunk to Maitland-Niles.
No, I think I'd pick one of those. Maybe Dallas to Maitland-Niles if you really want to do it. Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Okay. Captaincy, guys, we've already gone over this, so we're not going to do too much on it. Captain choice, Son or Salah? It'll probably be Salah, according to the metric and the boys' gut feeling, if you had to choose between those two. Joe says, by the time we answer all the questions, the deadline will be over. No, we're going to make it. We're going to make it, Joe. Don't lose faith in us.
My Chinese takeaway is arriving at 7:00. Julian's just messaged me. Your food's arriving at 7.
Swang says he's on a -12, so don't be scared to take a hit, guys. It is a double game week after all. Here's this one from Poshan. Digne or Reguilon or Pereira, who's the best to get for a -4 hit? Tough one, this. Reguilon or Digne or Pereira, we like a bit more probably.
I've been over this exact 3 conundrum all week, and I've ended up going with Digne.
You go with Digne, yeah?
That's my choice out of those 3, yeah.
Yeah, I would go there too.
Okay. Digne is the one to go. Should I Pickford as bench keeper playing bench boost, also Vardy captain? Boys, what do you rate this? I mean, it doesn't really matter who's on your bench, right? If you're playing a bench boost. So
no problem with that. Did he say he was going to rotate keepers?
He did. He said he will be continuing with rotation, and he'll be bringing in.
That could be a balls up, couldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know whether he really meant it or not.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I mean, yes, bench keeper, absolutely, no reason why not.
Okay. Should I start Rudiger or either Bamford?
Rudiger or Bamford? I would go
Bamford, right? -8. Watkins, Antonio out for Calvert-Lewin and Davis. What's his Davis? Where's Davis come from?
He's an enabler. He's just an enabler. People are clearing value out of their teams to try and get more to Calvert-Lewin.
You wouldn't do this. Watkins, Antonio out for Lewin and.
I mean, look, if you're changing the structure of your team, if you've got 5 strong midfielders, you could do that.
Yeah.
I played about 7 or 8 weeks with Davis, and I shot up the rankings because I put all my money into other players. My food turned up.
Yeah, a little bit early as well.
Early.
Okay, guys. Last couple before we end this. Should I start Rudiger or play either Bamford, Dallas, or Rafinha? Oh,
Well,
take your pick, boys.
coin flip between Bamford or Rafinha for me.
Same, and I would probably go Rafinha.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
All right. Ali Sufyan, Diaz or Cancelo?
Diaz.
Diaz. Siva?
Yeah, Diaz.
Okay, there it is, boys. That's it. That's all the questions that we whizzed through. I think we covered everything and everyone's questions. Boys, it's been a long one, but it's been a good one. Yeah, double game week 26, the biggest double game week in FPL history. It's just moments away. Don't forget to transfer your teams. While we're on here, boys, I'm just going to do mine right now to confirm it.
Right now.
Dina and Kane in for me. So, oh shit.
No, tell me the game crashed. Has the game crashed? I mean, look, guys.
Anyway, but
whilst you're doing this, I'm just going to tell everybody. Check your teams now. If you're activating bench boost, make sure it's activated. If you're activating triple captain, make sure it's activated. I've seen very good managers balls this up before now. Double check it. Double check it. I've just done the self-same thing. Is my bench boost active? The answer is yes. Is my captain on Kane? The answer is yes. Have I saved my team? The answer is just because I'd forgotten. There we go.
You're gonna keep going, Marin. I'm not done yet.
You've got to keep going. Siva, what have you done? Are you all locked in?
Yeah, I'm all locked in. And actually, Marina's not joking. I mean, I've seen people, like high-profile managers forget to click bench boost and then have Cancelo third on bench. So, I mean, check that like 5-6 times.
In all seriousness, I hadn't clicked save. That's so important to make sure you check that, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
so
I'm locked in.
We can all do it. It's very easy to do. But no, we're 9 minutes away from it. So I think if we've probably made our decisions now, I have to say I need to lie down now.
Yeah.
Just glad it's over with. I'll be happy to go back.
Creator, I mean, I'll just say this, Siva. I mean, I love your stuff, what you do. The amount of preparation that goes in as a content creator is enormous. It takes forever. And I mean, again, obviously, Gabe, who works with me on Net That Hall, and basically we're co-hosts now on that. It's just quite simple. We work with each other. We don't. It doesn't help me out. He works with me. He probably helps me out more than I help him. The amount of work he goes into that, it's enormous. That tweet which he puts out I think it takes him a day.
Yeah. I was actually reading his tweet yesterday. I think it was yesterday or Thursday. And the amount of detail that goes into that tweet, I'm thinking, how's he compiled this whole thing, put it together? I mean, it's incredible. Same with Big Man Baka.
Well, I mean, look, everybody is doing it. Everyone is doing the various stuff. My preparation for the following week starts tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I start to look at the data from then.
Boys, just before we close up, we're just minutes away. Please make your transfers, confirm your team, do everything. It is a West Ham shirt. Vincent, we did clarify that.
Yes.
And it's a lot better than Mariners. We know that as well. Last question, boys, just quickly before we round this up. Going for Werner, Vardy, Kane, so James as Everton asset. Would you take James Rodriguez? Would you bring him in?
It's just that little bit of a risk for rotation, isn't he? He's not played that many minutes recently, but again, if he's freed up because Alan's back now, if he's on that pitch, Alan's back on the pitch, you could easily see James get into some very, very interesting positions. But I'm just
boys,
on the pitch or not. What do you reckon?
Bring James in. Why not? Gamble is double game week 26.
Too
everyone.
Risky.
Too risky for us.
Don't bring him in. Don't bring him in.
Go with Richard. No. God, no.
There's still time.
6 minutes out until the deadline.
If Richarlison scores, I am not looking at Twitter.
Okay. Can we also say Richarlison scores? Never wear that shirt again.
Yeah, actually, there's a good point. If I will wear a worse shirt, a better shirt or a worse shirt, depending.
I don't know what's worrying. The fact that you have a worse shirt than that in your closet.
Well, I haven't got a Hull City one, so that's a good thing.
Boys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a long one, but I think it's much needed because of this double game week. Firstly, I've got to say thank you to Mariner for all your stats and your input and your time, more importantly. And Stefan, what a debut. I know they did give me the man of the match, but I'm sorry, mate. I do have to give it to you. You've been fantastic on your first time on FPL Expectations. Hopefully the first of many. All the best for double game week 26. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, mate.
I hope it's not too long before you're back on again. Guys, if you're watching, please do follow FPL Expectations on Twitter. It's at FPL Expectations. Do follow us down below. Click that subscribe button. Do give this video a like. And do follow all of us individually on our social medias. It's at FPL Mariner for Mariner. It's at Craig Morais 11 for me. And it's at FPL_banger for Siva. Good luck. All the best. We're just minutes out from the start of double game week 26. Save your team. Click bench boost. Captain right. And may the FPL gods be with you.